see what's going on here. Let's look at the challenge cards. Wow, look at all the swords. This is all mental energy. Underneath the deck, we're getting King of Swords, but it's all upright, so that feels good. And the challenge is clearly, not just clearly communicating something, but like taking swift, clear, decisive action. This is the challenge. This is like what's not happening yet. Okay, and the King of Swords underneath that is, yeah, Judgment, and even the Five of Cups in the reverse. So when I see the King of Swords and Judgment, think about it. Like, this is a judgment call. This is like a huge spiritual lesson to make a judgment call on something in your life that needs to be decided. And it's a very challenging thing, because whenever judgment comes up, it's like a higher calling. That angel is blowing the trumpet, and these people are standing naked with their arms up to the sky, almost like a resurrection energy. And it's also about using like your spiritual discernment. And it's also an exposure, because they're all nude. So it's something that feels very confronting to address. It will make you feel very vulnerable. But I like that nothing's reversed. That feels positive. It feels like you do know this needs to be done. Whoever this is for, you know. It's just you haven't done it yet. We'll ask why. Why is this the case? Because I'm going to get the advice, but let's just ask why. Because again, it's all mental energy. We don't even, the only Cups card we're seeing now is this, and this is about like not seeing, you're still in grief. And that's okay, because you know, when you are going through a big change like this, a judgment call, something that really like a big, and remember, this is the only major arcana, and major arcana cards, the 21 of them, are big life lessons. These are like major life events, crossroads, destiny points, and things like that. So they're not like little day-to-day shits. This is like a big deal. But when you see the Five of Cups in the reverse like this, it's because you're still in grief and you're not fully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel yet. Like, you probably see the spark, you feel like you understand why you need to do what you need to do. It needs to be decisive. It needs to be clear cut. It can't be wishy-washy. You can't sit on the fence. You can't keep one foot in and one foot out. You can't move forward when you've got a foot on the gas and the foot on the brake. And that's what's been happening. That's the energy I've been getting in a lot of my readings, is like this real fear to make a clear choice. But again, there's no right or wrong. It's almost like you can evaluate where you are now. You look at the pros and the cons and how deeply you might be suffering over certain things. And every choice is a risk. Every choice is going to also bring with it positive and negative aspects. So it's a values thing. And when you see the Judgment card, it's like about assessing your highest values. And because that's what you're meant to choose, in the direction of that. Not what's easy, not what's comfortable, not what is familiar, not what makes everyone else happy. This is like that's why it feels so exposing and raw and hard. That's what she said. Okay, so yeah, there's grief here, not to make light of it. It is hard. This is a heavy thing, but it's not reversed. That's why I'm like, it's almost like when you've been, like, for example, when I got a divorce, I thought about that divorce for 3 years straight, like actively thinking about it over and over, like every day. For literally 3 years, I grieved. I did a lot of processing. So before I finally pulled the trigger, and I'm blessed that it was a pretty amicable split. It was, and we're still like on good terms. And that person's moved on, and it was just like, it was fine. It was hard in the moment, and it was hard for like a year or two, and then it was fine. And it was fine, you know, because again, it was just kind of, it wasn't such a complicated situation. We were younger, we didn't have kids, we weren't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't easy, but it was easier than a lot of people splitting up. But I'm just going to use this as an example, because I had to like grieve the loss way before the actual loss happened. So by the time I got to that point, like obviously he had to go through his grieving process because he wasn't as prepared. I was the one making the choice, but he knew that things were not right. Like we both knew, and we had talked about it, and we even had separated for a period before this, and then we were separated again. So it was like, it was happening, it was already unraveling, but by the time I made that final decision, like I felt like I had basically grieved it. So I didn't grieve a lot afterwards. It happened like before. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here. So it's okay if you're grieving. Like, a loss or a change is a change or a loss, right? It's like, even when it's the right thing, even when you know that it's going to make you happy in some ways, it will also be an ending. And endings do tend to bring up grief. So although you can't see the full blessing yet, there are 2 cups standing with a rose. There's like 2 cups back here. That's like the 2 of cups, the like reciprocal love. It's still here, but he can't see it because he's like shrouded in grief, but it is there. So that's what I'm picking up with that. And then I wanted to clarify this and ask, why are you in this place? Like, why is this the challenge? Why is this the case? You can't make this shit up, you guys. Already, we're getting the King of Cups. Could be a water sign or a man who's very sensitive, emotional, loving. We're getting King of Cups. We're getting the Justice card and that 4 of Wands again. My readings tend to tie together. They kind of build on each other, right? And this is just like, whoever watches my videos and resonates, this is for you. But these are timeless. You might land on this in 5 years and be like, oh my God. So, you know what I mean? But I get a lot of the same themes over and over. It's just what's in my orbit too, you know? So the reason why this is happening and why this is a challenge is because this has to do with probably like a legal contract. Again, it could be a marriage because we're getting the 4 of Wands, which is the home card. It can be home. It can also be like marriage. It can be like a celebratory energy. In this case, it's feeling like it's a home energy. Remember, it's a house on the card and these 2 people standing outside. Now, there's this beautiful celebration energy because it's meant to be a positive card. It's meant to be like a stable, joyful foundation. But like I said, the reason why this is hard, this is like this making this decisive choice, is because it's going to affect your home life. It's also probably going to affect where you live. So this could be like, I need to move. I need to sell a house. I need to separate. I need to split assets with someone. we need a settlement, or blah, blah, blah. All the legal shit that comes with a change like this. This is part of the reason why, you know, it's a bit, like I said, it's the Judgment card. It's the end of an era. That's what I just heard. It's the end of an era. So, but it hasn't ended yet. Okay, let's continue. This has already been coming up in my reading, so I'm not surprised. Okay, this is the advice. This is interesting. We're getting Ace of Wands in the reverse, Page of Cups in the reverse. I need to clarify the Page of Cups. This is the advice. Don't be reckless, I just heard. Okay, 9 of Pentacles in the reverse. The same shit, it's the same lesson over and over. It's like, the advice is that you don't want to be codependent, and that is a really hard cycle to break, because if you're in a relationship where you or the other person are, well, codependency is it's a co-creation. It's 2 people that need each other, but like for the wrong reasons. Hold on, let me get one more. I'll explain. It's like you don't know what you want. You do know what you want, but it's like the advice here is you need to decide. Because he's looking at all these cups, or he or she, whoever, is like, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that thing, I could do that thing. But the advice is that what you don't want to do, let's put it this way, is make some kind of like reckless, impulsive, immature decision based on like immature emotions, simply because you're struggling financially, or because you're not independent enough and you're just like looking for that piece of wood floating down the river to jump onto. Now, this comes with there's like a flip side to this. There's also like this positive side to it, where it's like, you might receive help or support, or that could come through for you. But it's meant to come through, and I'm going to clarify these, but it's meant to come through in a way that both people feel more empowered. It's like the difference between getting a hand up, where the person, like I've received hands up, right, in my lifetime for sure, where it's like I will receive support in some fashion, whether that be emotional, financial, something like whatever it is, an act of service, someone's time. But it's like I'm receiving it from a place where I feel like, okay, I'm fully responsible for the outcome here. Like I need to be in total ownership, so that when I receive the support, that person is not my savior. They're not my rescue raft. They are a hand up. They're literally helping me get to the next destination, but I'm not coming from a place of helplessness. That is the lesson here, because whatever has kept people stuck, part of that was a mindset of I'm not powerful, or I'm helpless, or do you know what I'm saying? Not in your power. But it starts here. It starts within. So I'm just getting like that impulsive, fear-based, like I need someone to save me now, like I'm gonna be fucked. I'm not saying that there won't be loss, that there won't be discomfort, that there won't be material loss and things like that. But this to me, because all that swords energy, which is air, mental energy, came out at first, even the King of Swords is upright, meaning you do need to make a logical choice. And it's not to ignore your heart completely. It's not to deny yourself that passion is important to you. Like the Ace of Wands can be that like really fiery sexual energy. Like I just want to lead with my dick energy. And not that that's a bad, like that's not always bad. But in this particular case, your spiritual lesson, whoever this is for, the higher lesson, or whomever, this is like a group, a couple, whatever, whomever this is for, that's not, like Spirit is saying you need to learn a deeper lesson here, which is that you're not powerless. And whatever situation you've been in where you felt that way, the way out of it is to actually recognize how powerful you really are. So that when you, and I'm going to say when, not if, because I do feel when you make the mature, clear choice here, and it is not to stay in your comfort zone. That is not the answer. That's never the answer, you guys. That's never the answer. I don't care what it's about. This is like, you've got to make a logical, clear decision, like kind of take your emotions out of it for a minute to do it, because it will be hard. Again, legal, home life, could be family involved, like all kinds of things. Yes, you need to make that clear cut. But the advice is that you also need to make a deeper decision. You need to understand that, like, what is going to truly make you happy starts with your own self-respect and self-love. Like, it doesn't come from a place of I am a piece of shit, kicked in the corner, I don't deserve anything, shame, guilt. Like, it's okay to feel all the things. There's no bad emotions. It's that you are not your past actions. Sometimes it's hard when the light shines in a dark place that's uncomfortable, and it's like hard to face the truth of things that we've done in the past. Like I just recorded a meditation for a client today about skeletons in the closet, because there's been a lot of resistance there. It's kind of like, oh, no, like that stuff's like not a problem anymore. Like, don't, like, yeah, it's not a big deal. And it's like, sometimes it's buried so deep that it's become like a fossil. It's not that it's not important or that you've dealt with it. It's that it's so suppressed and buried that it just hasn't come into the light yet. It's not on the table to have to deal with. And therefore, we can pretend like it's not a problem. But I'm telling you right now, there's something here around feeling shame and feeling helpless that is part of the bridge out of this situation. It's like if you don't learn that lesson, you're going to repeat the same stuff in a new relationship, for example. And it's okay if some of it comes, like there is no perfect way, you guys, like forget it. No one's doing this perfectly. Like this is not a straight line. Healing is not linear. It's like a spiral, and you spiral around a lot of the same lessons, but hopefully you come around to that same point, but like with new awareness, with a different perspective. I've cycled through a shit ton of lessons or emotions, but it's kind of like every time they start to come back around, I'm seeing it through new eyes, or I'm seeing it with more understanding or more awareness or more maturity or whatever. So that's what I'm getting there. Let's get the oracle cards. What are we getting here? We're getting Midas for the masculine energy, which is interesting because, like Midas touch, it's about like that wealth and stability financially. And then we're getting Sekhmet, which is pretty badass because in my other deck, Sekhmet is the goddess of sacred anger. But she's also very like sacral, kind of sexual energy. It's Egyptian. So let's see what the book is saying about those. First, we'll start with Sekhmet. All right. It's just really common, like when you feel poorly about decisions that you've made or whatever got you into the situation that you're in that's now coming to an end, to come out of it feeling like you are a flop in life or that you're a bad person or whatever. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, but sometimes when you have to take ownership of the way that you've been living, this is the Judgment card. When you have to take ownership of the way that you've been living and the way you've been living doesn't feel good or it hasn't been honest or in integrity, it stings. It stings because you're like, damn it, I did do those things. I wasn't walking my talk, and I did maybe do shitty things or hurt people or whatever was selfish or la la la. But it's like you also have to let it go and be like, again, the right people are going to love you regardless, but you can't shun the responsibility and the ownership of it. And that is hard. And I give you a lot of credit if you're doing it, if you're one of these people, even like my clients, I do this work with them because nothing scares me, you guys. I don't care. I can look at your deepest, darkest shit. It's not going to freak me out. I'm not going to judge you. Because why? I don't judge myself. I allow everything in the room with me, meaning all of my shit, the past, the present, whatever might happen, no matter how dark and scary it is, I don't judge that. It's part of the whole, okay? You can't have light without dark. You can't have dark without light. So part of your spiritual growth is integrating the pieces you've been repressing. And like I said, it stings when it comes into the light. That's why this is a card and they're literally naked and they feel exposed. Because when the truth shines, you're like, fuck. Ugh. It feels cringe. It feels like, ugh, ick. But that's okay. That's okay. Be okay with it being uncomfortable. It doesn't make it wrong. And the right people in your life are not going to judge you. They're going to love you anyway. But you can't, you know what I mean? You got to fucking take ownership of it. That's all that it is. That's what's getting you out of this powerlessness, this helplessness feeling. Or this shame. Shame is quicksand, you guys. It's not useful. Okay, so it's just not. Like I said, the Buddhists always say, have intelligent regret. Oh, I did the thing. I hurt people. I hurt myself. What can I do instead? That's a better choice, a healthier choice, a more loving choice, more compassionate, more mature. Great. Let me do that thing instead. Let me apply an antidote. Let me apply the remedy. Boom. Move on. You know, you don't sit there and wallow in it. So Sekhmet, acknowledge the anger that arises within you. Use this anger as fuel to create change. This has been coming up a lot. Yeah, and it says, sacred rage is potent and valuable. It protects and creates change. There's anger within you that's asking to be acknowledged, and you can't quell the rage in your heart through suppression. Do you hold an internalized belief that anger isn't acceptable and it should be avoided? Oh, like how about when, this is true, comments such as, are you on your period, or being called hysterical, crazy, have, especially for women, have led to a negative connotation towards expressing anger. It can feel safer to pretend it doesn't exist. Man, I was just saying that. It's like the skeletons in the closet. We can be like, do, 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 and have the, as they say in Italian, salami sopra gli occhi. Like, you can have like what is it? Sausages over your eyes. That's just an Italian saying. It was like, salami on your eyes. Like, you're not seeing it because you don't want to see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. There are a ton of misconceptions about anger because people don't know how to express it in a safe way, or to not express it necessarily in an outburst at a person, but to process it so that you're not pushing it down and repressing it. When you repress your anger, you get sick. Period. Mentally sick, emotionally sick, physically sick, spiritually sick. Secrets keep us sick. So do suppressed feelings. So the issues are in the tissues. Whatever you're like ignoring, you're pushing down, you're pretending it's not there, it is there. You're in denial. So you have to just say, oh, there you are. I always say it's like inviting them into the room. Like your depression, your shame, all the people you fucked over, or whatever it is. Like, you invite them in. As your practice, your spiritual practice, come on. I see you over there in the corner, hiding, crouching in the corner like a fucking goblin. Get over here. Like, come on. But most people just simply, I'm going to be honest, most people have not done this work. They don't have this kind of self-awareness. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying most people are very afraid of their shadow stuff. They don't look at it, and then they're very critical and judgmental of other people. And for me, it's like it's uncomfortable to do this. It's also uncomfortable in a relationship to do it with each other, but it's necessary. You have to come to a point, if you want a conscious relationship and you're calling it a conscious partnership, don't fool yourself. You have to be conscious of your own shit, and then you have to be conscious of someone else's, and also like compassionate towards them. But sometimes compassion is soft, and sometimes compassion feels kind of fierce, because it's whatever's coming up, there's a lot of fear or resistance, so it can feel like you don't want to hear it, even from your partner or vice versa. That doesn't mean it doesn't need to be said or heard or brought up, or it doesn't need to be invited into the room. This is a process. It's a dance that you have to learn for yourself and with a partner. Everybody's different. You want to know about your partner's soft spots, their tender points, their pain points, their traumas. Like, you want to be aware of those things so that you can be kind to them when you're doing stuff like this. You won't always do it perfectly, you know? I'm very aware, but there are times when things come out and they come out sharp, and it's not always correct. So I will always take ownership of when I'm out of line. That doesn't mean it didn't need to be said, though. So, do you know what I mean? It's a dance, and vice versa. There are things that are said to me at times where I'm like, oh, that kind of hurt, but also it needed to be said, and I'm fine with that. You get a thicker skin, and you stop being so afraid. So that's really important on the anger piece. And how do you start? Literally go put yourself in a room, play some music if you need to, even if it's like angry music. You'll get to a point where you won't necessarily need to do this all the time, and you won't even feel as angry all the time, because you stop planting seeds of anger or repressing your anger in your mind. So you start integrating it, it stops running your life. But initially, like, I used to make playlists, even if it was like Eminem or some heavy metal, I don't fucking know, Ozzy Osbourne or some shit. And you listen to your music, you go for a walk, you exercise, you pump, you jump around the room, you scream into a pillow. I've done everything. And guess what? I'm better. Like, it doesn't rule my life anymore. That doesn't mean I don't get angry. It means my anger is not destructive like it used to be. It's not self-destructive. I don't allow it to destroy my relationships. And if I ever do something that's out of line, I own it. I'll apologize if I need to. I will offer a solution. I will say, next time I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do this differently. That's it. And you start to create safe space. But when you've never had that, it feels very intimidating to do this. And you can really, all your abandonment wounds, your rejection wounds, all your stuff's going to come up. Your childhood traumas, every time you open your mouth and got punished for it, you have to relearn. That's not how everybody is. Being open and honest and showing your ass or showing your shadow side or showing what you're uncomfortable about is not doesn't mean you're going to get punished. And you don't deserve to be punished, okay? So also stop punishing yourself. Easier said than done, you got to practice. Midas says, I'm afraid my battery's running low, so let me move on this. Midas says, the message here is that gently consider where you're choosing to prioritize your valuable time and energy. When pursuing a desire, the chase is often more about the experience or emotion than the actual attainment of the object itself. And it is saying, like, that, what are you chasing? Like, let's say you're chasing money. You're like, money is the thing that's going to... I learned this through Buddhism, because one of the reasons I started studying it was for relationship stuff that I was struggling with, and the other was financial struggles. And my teacher was always like, by the time you get the relationship and the money, you're going to realize that that's not what you were actually looking for. It doesn't mean it's not helpful or joyful. It means that's not where the security is coming from. Or, like, you're looking for the emotion. The primary emotion might be more happiness, more, I don't know, safety, a nicer apartment, like, whatever. I used to live in, like, in roach motels, you know, in Miami, and just like trash, and now I don't, and it is nicer to live in a nicer place. However, I also know this could all go away. My security is not this apartment, but it is nice to have it. You've got to understand the paradox, right? So you're looking for something. Initially, you might be looking for that more superficial feeling, but what you're really looking for is freedom. And the reason why I chose Buddhism is because ultimately you're getting totally free of suffering. You're not just getting the better apartment, the job, because guess what? You're going to get the apartment, then you're going to want something else. You're going to get the partner, well, then you want something different. Then you want it to be better. Then you want to have this other thing. Then you get the 6 figures, now you got to make 7 figures. Then you get a tight abs, oh, now I got to have a better ass. Oh, now I have to do... It's never ending, that samsara. Do you see that picture behind me? You can't fully see it. That is the wheel of life in Buddhism, and that's like all the realms, but also samsara is the cyclical realm. This is the cycle of suffering that we keep incarnating into. And it's only because our mind is not free yet. We're not enlightened, so we keep coming back. You gotta learn. So what you're seeking is probably the feeling beneath the thing. That doesn't mean you don't want a nicer place to live, or that you don't want a healthy relationship. It means don't put all your hopes into the thing, because the thing is empty of a self-existent nature. Like, if happiness was in the house, then every single person that had a nice house would be happy, and we know that that's not true. If happiness was and security was in a partner, then every single person that had a partner on this planet would be equally as happy and peaceful, and they're not. So we know that it's not in the thing, per, like I said, if you choose to apply Buddhism. So that's what this card is saying. Really think about it. It doesn't mean you don't want what you want, but it's like, are you letting your pride or your arrogance or your ego or just a misunderstanding of how reality works get in the way of receiving the thing you actually want, that's going to actually bring you more joy? And it says, also, it's talking about, sorry, I'm in the wrong page here. It's talking about the act of pursuing happiness can be a negative experience. Fearing the negative is limiting. Trying to escape and run toward the positive can be a form of resistance. When you find satisfaction in the mundane, you can chase the marvelous. Relish in small daily pleasures. You know, this is so true. When the arrival of a manifestation doesn't bring the expected ecstatic joy, it can feel extremely disappointing. Work on the underlying shadow. My throat was closing up. Arriving at a state of contentment outside of big life wins will help you enjoy the moments even more when they arrive. Instead of having them be the escape from difficult emotions, they can be a lovely addition to an inner world that's already received attention. And being content doesn't mean you stop desiring change and don't have goals. Enjoy the process and don't connect your happiness to the outcome. The journey will be so fruitful and rewarding that the outcome will be the cherry on top of something that's already great. So that I didn't learn that until I lost everything, because I really did think like I was always chasing something, thinking it's going to be in that thing. But the truth is, I got those things, and then I still had then I was like, okay, now I want something else. It's not lasting fulfillment, it's temporary. And also, my throat is like really acting up, so that's always energy. It's like feeling so blocked all of a sudden. Also, when everything like fell away, like my relationship fell apart, my marriage, then my finances fell apart, and then another thing fell apart. It was like everything kept falling apart. It was when I was really like that rock bottom. I was like living back with my parents, broke. I had like no savings. I had no clients. Like everything was a mess. It was just like the shittiest of the shittiest. It was then that I started really focusing on like the tiniest things, like everything to be grateful for, searching for it. Like, oh my God, I found a penny on the floor. I'm grateful. Oh my God, that person smiled at me on the street. I'm grateful. Oh my God, I have arms, legs, food, a house. Oh my God, I have a family that loves me. Like, not that those aren't great things, but I'm just saying I really had to start searching for every little thing. And that feeling did grow. And it was a process, but I'm just saying most people really do think the happiness, the outcome is bringing the emotion, but it's the feeling you're searching for. So that's really the message here. So let's just get one final sort of like overarching card. I guess I'll get one tarot. Let's just start there. One final message, Spirit. Too many cards falling out. Hold on. Okay, Queen of Wands in the reverse. Let me clarify. Hanged Man in the reverse. This is a shift in perspective. Let's get an oracle card. A shift in perspective. I'll get a feminine card since it's a feminine court card. I don't have the full message. Hold on. Let's see what we get here. There's a distorted energy here. It is a feminine energy in a distortion. Fiery, passionate, sensual, sexual energy. That's the Queen of Wands, but it's upside down. And then there's a perspective shift here. There's some type of awareness, a spiritual lesson, a realization that maybe hasn't happened yet. This is kind of the overarching end message here. So let's see what we get. I don't know what this one means. It says Sarah Duen. Sorry, I'm butchering that. It's probably Gaelic or something. Sarah Duen. Let's see and it's like an older, let me see what's on here. Looks like an older woman. She's got like white hair and there's like a cauldron and this like green witchy smoke coming up. So let's see what this is about. Never heard of her before. It says, it'll help explain the tarot cards here. It says, respect the crone and bring in, that's like the older woman energy. So there's like maiden, which is like youthful energy before you're like a mom. And then there's the mother energy, which is the middle. It's the triple goddesses. Doesn't she have it on here? Yeah. It's like the three moons, like the crescent, and then the moon in the middle. Those are like the three phases of the feminine. And so the crone is like in your mature, like older years. It says, respect the crone and bring introspection to her archetype within you. She's an embodiment of wisdom for serving yourself and those around you. She's known as an enchantress, a hag, a shapeshifter, and a goddess of the underworld. She's the keeper of the cauldron of knowledge, which some believe to be the Holy Grail. Oh yeah, she is Celtic. Oh, her name is a derivative of the word cauldron and is associated with transformation, poetry, and prophecy. Love that. So it says, to celebrate the crone is to honor the final aspect of the goddess, the third representation of the circle of life. She understands that the more you learn, the less you know, and that becoming a master means becoming the fool again. She knows the maiden and mother voyages have been vital aspects to the journey of the wise woman, for both carried incomplete and unrefined versions of the future crone within them. And then it says, it's about growing through life experience and understanding, like, if you're growing an oak tree, like every branch represents a fork in the road of former selves. Every leaf represents a decision, a mistake, a hurt, a love, a heartbreak that blossomed into wisdom. And it says it can be a frightening figure to those who don't yet understand her and her untamed nature. She who deserves the most reverence can incite the most substantial feelings of confrontation in those still enamored with the ideas of beauty. Associated with youth. The crone's beauty holds a depth that youth cannot match and should be respected for holding. The wisdom from a long life lived is a privilege and a beauty to behold with its richness and depth. Honor the crone. She's guiding you forward with her wisdom, compassion, and knowledge. I am also getting a message there about body image and image in general, of like fear of getting older and maybe becoming less desirable. Listen, as women, we truly get it the most. I mean, men, it's like men are allowed to like be silver foxes and like be old. Like men are allowed, not that men don't have struggles, because they absolutely do. Don't get it twisted. Men have body image issues just like women do. But women, just culturally, societally, we're just not allowed to age. Like we're supposed to be forever 25, don't have a line on your face, your body needs to be perfectly tight, it needs to be this and that. And again, I'm very happy with my body and I'm in my 40s, but like we're aging. We're all aging. We're all in a meat suit careening towards our death. We're all dying. We have to have an awareness that this body is here for only a certain period of time. It's temporal. It's not forever. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just our vehicle in this life. We should appreciate it. It's our temple. At the same time, don't get attached to it. And that's easier said than done, but we get so attached to our looks, our beauty, our youth, our stuff. It's like that aging is a curse. It's a privilege. It is a privilege. And I will tell you something. My body, for example, has been through so many phases, but I also had eating disorders, tons of issues, like literally starving myself, being like, I've got to be skinny to be happy. But guess what? I was super skinny and I wasn't happy. It didn't matter. It's not to let yourself be unhealthy and not take care of your body and nourish yourself and exercise and do the things. But it's like, I really thought that was going to solve all my problems. And at my most snatched, like my body was like six pack, tight, thin, all the things. I was the most depressed I've ever been in my entire life. Period. So it's not that you can't look hot and be happy. It's just that when we get attached to things, we suffer. And this is a huge thing. And this could be part of a lesson. Look, but then there's that like sexual energy coming through, Knight of Wands, passion, and the King of Wands as the match. How interesting. We're getting counterparts coming out of hermit mode. Maybe you're older. Maybe you're a little bit older and you're like, feel like you're losing your vitality, or that you're not sexy anymore. You're not desirable. You're not wanted. You're not like, do you know what I mean? No. But it's interesting that the one that's in the reverse is the feminine, because we're getting her counterpart, the King of Wands, that passionate, sexual, alive energy. But it's interesting because the feminine is the one, that might be struggling more with this. Personally, like I said, I'm not afraid to get older. It's just that it is a process, of being like, not running out of sexual time, just kind of understanding things are changing. You're changing, your body's changing. But you deserve love and intimacy and all the things. I'm just going to cut this deck. Look, another old lady. Baobo. I don't know what she means, but let's just look real quick. Another older woman. Again, why wouldn't we be grateful? Wow, I'm here. I have so much life experience. You can still take care of your body. And like I said, I have friends and mother figures and people in my life who are in their 70s. They're amazing, radiant, beautiful, fabulous, but they're older. Do you know what I'm saying? They aged, and it's okay. It's I don't know, they just carry so much experience, and also they love themselves as they are, and that's how it should be. But that's a practice, because like I said, that's not the message we're fed at all. It says, find levity in the madness of earth and view human nature through the eyes of humor. Laughter can bring joy to the darkest of moments. And she's a Greek goddess of happiness. It says, after Hades, the god of the underworld, abducted Persephone, Baobo was the first to make Demeter, which is Persephone's mother, laugh through her grief. Offering her a drink, Demeter refused, so Baobo lifted her dress to show her private parts, ultimately making her laugh. When life throws you curveballs, finding moments of joy in the chaos can be challenging, but it says seeking pleasure is essential because you're only on this beautiful planet temporarily. Human existence can feel super dense for highly sensitive people. It can feel like going through a pool of mud. That's not all you're here to experience. You're here for duality, the contrast found at either end of the spectrum. You do need joy to complement the hard work of mortal existence. And balancing these polarities applies to spiritual work as well. Cleaning old debris, shadow work, all this stuff, it can feel depleting. You've got to fill yourself back up with light after hard work of clearing, especially heavy emotions. This is why they say laughter is the best medicine. A sense of humor is a gift of alchemy bestowed upon humanity. Seeing life's pitfalls through the lens of humor can be the remedy to destiny. Lift the burden from your shoulders, have a laugh. Oh, it's so true. I literally made a series of memes. I just didn't publish them yet, but the other day I was feeling this too, because there's been a lot going on. It's just been a lot of emotional stuff, and it's man, yes, and joy. Let's not forget to be joyful. But when you're in the shits and you're in the muck, it's hard, but you have to, you gotta remember, there's two sides to the coin. Playfulness is leading us back to the light. It's not all meant to be heavy. Do the hard work. Don't ignore it, but don't get stuck there, right? That's part of my medicine too, just as a person and as a healer, and part of, I feel, my soul's essence is I can go to a very dark place, but I can go to a very light place, and I can do both. And that's really essential, you guys. It's hard for some people, but I find that it's not as hard for me. So that's why I'm here. So I love you guys very much. If you want personal support, you can book a 60-minute clarity session at the link below. I've got also a mentorship for conscious partnership and sacred sexual union. Since Sekhmet came up, she is also associated with that sacral chakra sexual energy, but those are two more higher touch program, the devoted masculine and the devoted feminine below. And that's it. I also have a new free meditation, metta meditation, which is loving kindness. It's a Buddhist practice. All the details are below, but you can check that out if you want. It's about 8 minutes long. And that is it for now, you guys. I'm, again, sending you a hug. Life is hard, but you gotta laugh too. You know what I mean? Just remember, we've got to do both. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take